When the lion sees her keeper after years, the animal had an astonishing reaction. Consider some of the most hazardous animals that live in the world today. There would almost certainly be lions among them, right? Take the typical indoor cat and multiply it by a significant amount. The combination of their large, sharp teeth and claws with their lightning-fast speed unquestionably sets them apart from the domesticated versions of the same species and establishes them as a formidable adversary. On the other hand, some of us do not share the same level of concern as most people. Take this into consideration. The more frequently a person visits a lion, the more accustomed the lion will develop to seeing that person. It certainly has a positive tone. And what happens when someone decides to take in a lioness as a pet? It is possible to tame wild animals and raise them as pets. This is where our narrative of Adolfo reconciling with the lioness Cara, whom he adopted many years ago, comes into play. Cara had been separated from Adolfo for some time. When Adolfo first met Cara, he worked in the animal training industry as a lion trainer not long ago, maybe only a couple of years. She had barely grown out of being a cub at that point. When Cara was young, she was still fluffy and adorable. There was no indication that she would develop into the gorgeous creature she would later become.
Amigo atrás. Hasta que cierre la puerta yo.
There was no way for Alfonso to predict the connection that he and infant Cara would create as they grew older, regardless of the amount of time or distance that would separate them. Lions are renowned for their strength and are frequently referred to as the kings or queens of the jungle. Regarding their abilities, other animals can't compete with them. Despite this, Alfonso decided to take Cara in since he was confident that his enthusiasm for his work was much stronger than any worry he would have. It must be a terrifying experience to have a lion roar near you, especially since you don't know what might happen. Now Alfonso, on the other hand, he was a lion trainer. Therefore, he had no room for fear in his life. Although I'm sure he didn't know what to anticipate then, he didn't anticipate the reaction from Cara when they saw each other again. However, he still didn't expect the response he got. Who was going to? Cara and Adolfo were kept apart when she reached a certain age because Adolfo's profession required him to work with lions. He still remembers her, but the question is whether or not Cara recalls him. It is difficult to determine whether she would, particularly considering that she is no longer the adorable tiny baby cub he got to know. When he decided to visit her once again, though, he was willing to accept the danger that came along with it. Adolfo and Cara used to spend a lot of time playing together when they were younger, but a lot of time has passed since then. He had a great deal of homesickness for her, and concluded that he wanted to visit her to gauge the response, if any, that she would have to hear his voice once more. When Adolfo first saw her at the zoo, his old friend was there having fun, but then she heard him mention her name, and that's when things started to take a turn for the better. Cara was initially confused about how she should react to the situation. Her nostrils perked up as she tried to identify the source of the strange yet recognizable odor from within her area simultaneously with that voice. She was familiar with the vote and then located the sound start.
Yo te digo. ¿Qué pasa, Kiari?
Cara must have been reminded of something by the voice she heard because she didn't waste any time and began searching for Adolfo, while she waited for the moment when the door to her cage would open. As soon as her door had been unlocked, she dashed inside. She knew that Adolfo was present and that he had traveled there to see her. She felt the same excitement as when she was a young cub, anticipating the arrival of the person she knew cared about her a great deal. At this moment, it was abundantly clear that Cara was looking forward to seeing him again with great enthusiasm. At this moment, Cara was dancing around her enclosure, unable to contain the excitement that she felt inside of her. Adolfo was still outside because the door hadn't opened for him to come in, but it was close, just a few feet away from her. Cara was standing so close to that door that the zookeepers began feeling uneasy. They weren't exactly sure what to expect from her once the door was opened. It is safe to assume that they were taken aback by her reaction when it came, which was a wonderful surprise for them. Cara had no time to spare for Adolfo before she jumped all on him as soon as he was back in his cage. They went down to the ground, Cara failing to remember that she had significantly grown in size since she was a young cub.
Kiari, ¿Trajiste cinturón o no, güey?
Just try to envision this for a second. A lioness threw a man who weighed close to 400 kilograms, almost 800 pounds, off his feet. And she did it with complete and utter glee. However, I don't think he was bothered by it at all. The two longtime companions began to roll around on the ground together, enjoying fun like they had in the past. Don't believe us? Just keep watching. At this time, Kara started snarling, but it was not for the reason you may expect. She was thrilled to see Adolfo again, and he felt the same way about seeing her. Because of her actions, he couldn't control his laughter. The meet together he had been organizing for a while was going exceptionally well, and things would only get better from here on out. Adolfo did not show the slightest bit of fear. Because he had been with Kara for virtually all of her life, he was familiar with her. He couldn't contain his excitement about the prospect of playing with her once more, which is not something that the typical person would be able to say. Because she was in such a good mood, she also began biting at his pants. Hold on. What? She was attempting to remove Adolfo's black slacks. Adolfo didn't care. He was having too much fun with his pal to care about how others perceived him. But eventually, they both started to relax and were found lying on the grass together. How adorable.
¿Qué traes, Afri?
A lone human with his fully grown lioness companion. There is zero worry and only unbridled joy. It was difficult for Kara to release Adolfo from her confinement. However, he was able to escape. Knowing he could go back and see her again probably made things easier for him. Yes, the very next day he did. Adolfo was allowed to visit her that day, and when he did, she pounced on him again. Both of them had to be helped up off the floor after she knocked him down, just as the first time he went to see her. After all this, he still didn't care. Was she just about to make a move on his face? She was indeed aiming for his face, but, as with her nips at Adolfo's jeans in hand, they were simply expressions of her adoration for him. After learning about their history, we can confidently say that Kara is one lioness we would be happy to pet and express some love for. On their last day together, the odd couple couldn't get enough of one another's company and gave each other lots of hugs and kisses. Unfortunately, even the best times eventually end. A tearful Adolfo kissed his lioness goodbye before he left. The two of them share an unbreakable bond that nothing can ever change. There's no telling when Alfonso will pay Kara another visit, but it's clear that she still remembers him even after all this time apart. What's more, it demonstrates that even the most ferocious animals have softer sides. It's probably best not to do this at home. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. That's the end for this video. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.